Okay, so I thought I'd do a little video today on repairing a severely scratched area on a Vistalite drum. This is a yellow 13-inch concert tom from a Jelly Bean kit I've had for quite a while. And what I wanted to try to do was remove this scratched area. You can kind of hear if I rub my fingernail along the smooth section of the drum versus that rough section of the drum. There are grooves that you can clearly feel in there. So what we're going to do today is see if we can remove that and polish it out to get it pretty nearly clear again. So the first thing we're going to do is take all the equipment off the drum, all the hardware off the drum, and clean the whole thing. So we just go through the process of pulling the hardware off the drum. I don't have a great deal of experience with Vistalites or with sanding plastics. What I'm doing is stuff that I've learned mostly off YouTube videos and some sites that deal with doing body work, but we'll see how it works out. As you can see, the hoop's kind of a mess with lots of rust and spotting on it, so we'll use metal polishes as a buffing wheel and clean that all up. Taking the lugs off the Vistalite, and you can, as you take these off, you can see that really the screws on the lugs are not much tighter than really just the weight of the wrench that has been dropped against them. And all the prevalent advice whenever you're working with a Vistalite drum is do not over tighten anything. And so we'll be very careful when we put this hardware back on to take that precaution as well. Okay, all the hardware's off the shell, stored in little containers. T-rods, lugs, and the clip plate. I'll throw those into an ultrasonic cleaner and clean them up before they go back on the drum as well. But if we look at the shell, we can see it's really not in bad shape. No splits or chips. The seam is tight. Looks like maybe it's been buffed before. You can see some buff in the screw holes, but the bearing edges are good. Really, it's not bad. The corners lifting a little bit on the badge right there. We're not going to worry about that though. We're not going to mess with the badge at all. So really, the only spot we have to worry about is this bad scuff right here. So that's the one we'll deal with. We will use the Novus 321 products to clean the entire shelf first. So we'll start with 3 and rub it, dry it, clean it. 2, rub it, dry it, clean it. 3, clean it. We've got clean, lint-free cloths to work with. So we'll start with that process. So we follow the directions on the bottle, and we'll start to clean the drum. Now the instructions on the bottle say to rub in the direction at a right angle to the scratches. There aren't any really scratches that are real detectable in any right angle anywhere on the shell. That's some right there that could probably use some rubbing. They're not bad enough that I'm going to go to the trouble to try and remove them. We'll hit it with Novus 3 one more time, but you know, these drums are from the 70s, man, so can't be expected to be perfect. Got it laying on a lint-free cloth and a layer of foam here too as we're cleaning it. Yeah, that looks nice. So we'll do that around the entire drum. That's been my experience with Novus. You can see here, I think, some minor abrasions. Novus isn't going to take those out. I'm not sure what scratches Novus actually removes, but if you can scratch them with your fingernail and hear it, Novus isn't going to take those out. It's just a very good polish. I'm going to really work with Novus. You can see it in the surface. Just a small scratch right there. I want to really work and see if I can get Novus to take that scratch out. Following the instructions. Rubbing perpendicular to the scratch. We'll continue here for a while and see if we can get it to take it out. Okay, on that little section there where the blemish was, I rubbed with what I would call really firm pressure for about 6 minutes with Novus 3 perpendicular to the scratch, and I was able to get that scratch that was not enough to catch your fingernail in, but it's certainly enough to see and enough to feel a change in the surface of the material. I was able to get that scratch rubbed out pretty nice, so Novus did a nice job on that. Okay, so for wet sanding, I have waterproof sandpaper, starting with 400 grit, then up to 600 grit, then up to 1500 grit. Then I have a series of small foam pads, small foam sanding pads, color-coded per their grit, that go all the way up to, I believe it was 14,000, I think was on the chart. I'll double check that. But anyway, so this is where it starts. Okay, obviously terrifying to do this to a Vistalite drum that you've searched high and low for and are treasuring, but it is wet sanding process, so I have a spray bottle, just, you know, a regular old Ace Hardware spray bottle. Just make sure we get the drum wet. And again, I'm not a pro body guy at all, but, you know, here we go. The drum's wet. We're over the spot that's got the issue. Just going to start in that circular sanding motion with the 400 grit wet dry sandpaper and work it in that circular motion, not applying a great deal of force to it at all, just taking that surface down. I know it's recommended that you use a sponge so you don't get any low spots. That's probably a good idea. I don't have that equipment. I do have those higher grits in sponge, but so we'll do this same process all the way through the different grits, and I'll just do a little snap. This will be a while with the 400. You can see that those grooves are, you can see they're still in there. I think you can, but we'll keep rubbing, see how we do. Okay, that's about 5 minutes of light sanding with the 400 grit. I think you can see it's just a big hazy spot on the drum. The only thing that remains of that, of those deep grooves, are three grooves right there that are pretty doggone deep that I don't think I'm going to be able to get out. Little blemish up there that I think I'll rub some more. And now there's one more right there. That's a little bit there. So we'll probably go another couple minutes with the 40 grit or 400 grit, and then we'll move up. It's coming along pretty well. Okay, at it again, trying to make sure that my down strokes with the paper are perpendicular to the scratches, as well as my upstrokes. Had a little spot up there I wanted to get, but I think that's like I say, we'll hit that for another few minutes, see what it looks like. Okay, I think I'm done with the 400. Let's clean it off and see what it looks like. Hazy spot with just a couple small blemishes in there, so I'm pretty happy with that. All right, we'll move up to the 600. Piece of 600, wet the drum, start sanding again. Okay, about 4 minutes with that 600 grit, circular motion. We'll clean it up, see what it looks like. Still a hazy drum with just a couple little blems in there. Couple little blems. Definitely got a hazy spot that we'll have to buff out though. Okay, on up to the 1200 grit, pardon me, 1500 grit. Same process, wet it and start sanding again. Okay, 5 minutes with the 1500 grit. Let's clean the drum off, see what she looks like. Still hazy, but that's nice and smooth right there. You can see those two tiny little blems, but those are just too deep for me to take that much material off the drum. Okay, on to the sanding pads. Following our little color grid here, we're going to go up to 24. Drum's wet, light pressure, sand some more. Okay, we're moving up to the 32 now. You may not be able to tell it, but I can tell it that haze is actually beginning to clear up a little bit, even just going to the 2400 grit. So, all right, we're going to walk our way through up about, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes each, going through the 32, probably the 4,000, then the 6,000, the 8,000, and the 12,000. And we'll see what it looks like after the 12,000. Okay, you can see she's clearing up pretty nice. One of the things I find myself doing is kind of leaving, I get focused on where the cracks are, and then I end up leaving a little bit of a halo around the spot where I've sanded that I don't get out with the really finer grits, which then makes it tougher to buff it out. But we're at the 12,000 grit now, little sanding pad. It almost feels smooth, but you can see it's clearing it up nicely. Okay, you can see that's where that whole scratched area was. I do have a little bit of a halo I've got to buff out, but all that remains are a couple small places. I might even hate to go over it all again, but we'll see what it looks like after I buff it out. That's pretty good. Okay, so we're going to start the buffing process with this 36060 3M Perfected EXAC rubbing compound. Now, on the bass drum, I had started out with this pad and then gone to this pad as a finishing pad. I don't know whether the wool pad's a good idea or not, but it's what I have. I did use it, so it's a little bit nappy. Some of you body guys might know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. But we'll hit it with the buffer here and see what happens. So we're just going to take a little bit of this, shake it up, put it on, cover the area with it, try to minimize the sling a little bit. I do have this stuff from doing that bass drum. I have this stuff slung all over the basement. Little drops of it falling on all the guitar cases and other drums and stuff that are down here, but it wipes right off. It's certainly not the end of the world. And that may be more than we need. Don't want to use the towel that I wipe everything off with. So we'll get another towel here. Wipe our fingers. The compound on there. We'll start out real slow. Very light pressure. You don't want to bear down on it at all, I don't believe. But again, I'm not a pro. I'm just trying to base this off of what I have read and seen in other videos about finishing paint. Got a couple clips you can see on the bottom there. Foam between the drum and the clip to hold it solid. Ease it up a little bit. I'm going to do this for a little while longer. That compound always seems to dry a little bit and start to clean itself off. You can see it coming off. I'm going to buff this out. Finish buffing it out. Done with the buffing wheel. Let's clean it. Didn't get too much sling. Okay, let's see. Took a little bit of a halo up there at the top. A little bit of a halo at the top. I'll use this Novus cleaner on it. Get a cleaner towel. Slightly damp, but cleaner towel. Okay, still got some swirls in there. Got some swirls I'd like to get rid of, so we're going to do another buff coat. Okay, I'm hitting it with this ultra fine polish and using the blue foam finishing pad. Okay, so we finished up with the blue buffing pad. Clean it again. See what she looks like. Alright, let's see. Let's see. Just trying to wipe it off some. Oh man. Get our final cleaning towel here. It is not perfect. It is not perfect. By any stretch, but I'll tell you what. Oh! Oop. Almost. Got a lot of sling came off of there. Oh, I don't know if you can see or not. Let's see. That's where the blemish was, right there. You can see there are some swirl marks, which I'm going to try to rub out with Novus 123, but compared to what that scratch was, now we've just got these few little marks that are pretty deep. And then I have to decide whether I'm going to give up on that or whether I'm actually going to go back in there and try to clean that up. So we'll see. That gives you an idea what it looks like now. Let's see, what's a good, that's a good view. Yeah, that's a good, you can see, yes. That's a nice, that drum is, let's see, looks like there might be, oh, I just got to clean that. Okay. Okay, super happy with that. I can show you, I do have one little swirl mark right in there that I want to get after with Novus, but let's see if I can get, oh, here's where the, yeah, there's where the bad blemish was before. Some of it's still up in there, but you know what? It's a lot better than it was. Okay, I got after it big time with the Novus 3 and really heavy pressure. And I am very happy with the result. You can see that drum. That's where the light catches it just right. You can see that's where that scratch was, where the big scratch was. But tell you what, compared to what it was, that is real nice. I mean, that's clear, baby. Nice.